Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Skillet coming to you from X4 Foundation 7.5, the beginner series, how to start, things to think about. And we are going to talk today about what is going on behind us. Combat. And I can tell you're already at the edge of your seat. You're probably thinking, you know what, Skillet? I've played space games. I've played Elite Dangerous. I've played Star Citizen. I know how to do combat. It's going to be cakewalk. Wrong. Not a skill issue. Not a skill issue. I'm going to say that you can do it. It's more of an equipment issue. But before we get into that, there is a Instagram that we did create, or I created, not too long ago. There's not a whole lot there right now, but it will be growing. There's going to be screenshots from mainly X4 Foundations, but also other games that I have played on and off screen.
Would you like some more?
If you like the series, if you like the Let's Talks, the Boron, the Fires of Defeat, any of the playthroughs, think about throwing up a subscribe. Sometimes we really lay down some knowledge. Sometimes we do things to blow your mind, like a drone carrier that's not an H. I'm gonna hark on that video because that video is still amazing to me, and somebody even went further. Now, I pinned a comment in I believe it is drone carrier revisited, or part 2. There is a comment that's pinned. They took it a step further and turned it into a murder ball because you thought a raptor was cool. Wait till you read that comment, and then your mind explodes or melts or turns to goo. I don't know. Lots of things. But if you like a video, do toss up a like, and more importantly, leave a comment. Because if you have an idea, you have a question, want to say hi, or maybe I touch on something that you have done, I might not have, fully delved into that idea, but you might have something. Maybe I have a response. Maybe somebody else has a response as well. I do try to get back to you guys as soon as I possibly can. Time permitting, wherein you do your comment and when I'm not sleeping. But let's get into it. Now, your ship is going to be, a starter ship. Crap. Depending on the start that you do. We did do the Wayward Scion, so we do have the Nova, we have Mark 1 pulse lasers, and we have a barely existent shield. Yeah, the shield is 827, and the hull for the ship is 310, or I'm sorry, now it's 3100. No idea where 310 came from. At 3100, so it's not really a protective layer at all. It's not. It's garbage. Now, one of the first things that you're going to want to do when you start your game after you have enough money is you are going to want to go to, I'm actually going to step out of the pilot seat for a second here.
Vanguard.
Move that
Sir.
order. You're going to want to go to either a equipment dock or a wharf, and we're going to pick on this wharf for a second for a specific reason. And you are going to want to upgrade. Now, whether you do it yourself or you have a pilot do it, you're going to click on upgrade. Engines, I'm going to let you play around with. Engines work a little differently than what I'm used to in 7.5, and I haven't fully mastered those yet. But we will dive into that and faction specifics at a later video. You're going to want to go to shields. You're going to want to typically get a Mark III. I will highly recommend that you go a Talati Mark III for an S-class ship. It typically has the most hull points, unless it's changed, and now the Terrans for a S-class has more hull points, or more of a health pool. Then you can always go Terran. It's going to be a while before you get there. So Talati, depending on where you start, is probably your best bet. And then weapons. No reason whatsoever should you or any of your ships in any of your fleets carry Mark 1 weapons. Honestly, I don't know of a need or a purpose for Mark 1 weapons. They are very lackluster compared to their Mark 2 counterparts. It's really there for, I guess, options for when you create your own shipyard and wharf for the AI to purchase from you. A money-making tool, if you will. Mark IIs. Now, the pulse laser is a great all-round weapon system. It's not specialized in any specific thing. It is a jack of all trades. It'll do just about everything that you want it to do. Even on your fighter craft in your fleets, it's a good, solid choice. You really can't go wrong with it. It'll take down any threat that it really, goes up against. Can it take longer for that to happen? Yes. Are there other weapons that can do more damage? Yes. It's really up to you and how you feel and what you feel comfortable with. Play around with them. Now, specifically, if you want to be a pirate... Oh. What was that first? Aha! Let us get away. He must not know that we are trying to make a video. So let's land real quick.
Docking granted.
And he'll probably die in a few seconds.
Successfully docked.
Perfect.
Welcome.
That's a signal leak, which we kind of touched on last video. Now, if you want to be a pirate, and you should, then really consider the ion blaster. Now, how pirating works, or how to get pilots to bail out of their own ships, is a bailing algorithm. That algorithm will start once typically the hull in your target reaches 75%. At that point, the algorithm will start. It runs roughly every 30 seconds. All you have to do is ask that pilot to surrender. Sometimes you can do it without firing a shot if you are flying in a high conflict zone and there's battle going on around you that you don't necessarily need to take part in. You can always ask a ship to, hey, you want to, leave? And you'd be surprised. Sometimes you can upgrade your own ship by just asking. But to help you out with that algorithm, the Ion Blaster is a great tool. Now, it is a great tool outside of this aspect as well, but what it does, it excels at, is taking down the shield and doing tiny bits of hull damage. Sometimes that bailing algorithm takes you a minute. You have to keep asking. Every 30 seconds, every minute, 2 minutes, you can let those shields on that ship regenerate. You can take down those shields, do slight damage to the hull, enough where it stays around 75%, maybe even to 70%, and at one point, hopefully they will just say, I've had enough. Now, you technically don't need to utilize this weapon for that. You could utilize it for other purposes, or you don't even need to use it at all. Your pulse lasers will do just fine. They do a little more hull damage, but as long as you're conservative enough in your attacks, you should be fine. This is just a specific weapon that the Argon have, that nobody else has, that you can utilize. It is locked behind rep, so you'll have to gain rep to gain access to the weapon. But outside of this, let's say you've upgraded your weapons. Perfect. Let's say there's a lull in combat. What can you do? Or let's say that there's actually wave upon wave upon wave of enemy fighters coming into the sector, and on your own, you're just overwhelmed. Well, I have an answer. That answer is stick close to a station. This does work because not only will it help augment your own capabilities with the station's turrets, but for each craft that you destroy, you will gain money and you will gain rep. Rep will dissipate the higher rep that you actually have with that faction. You'll have to just do more to gain more rep, but it is a good way to gain rep early game, and it is a good way to gain money. Now, right now, there is a lull in combat. So what we learned in our last video is you can go out here and you can soak up all these little goodies, or you can have your pilot do that, and then you can go sell them. And at that point, with whatever excess money that you have, you can upgrade your ship further, or if you really wanted to, buy a different ship. But if you're a pirate, you can always just gain a ship. In Hatikva's Choice, this is one of the most perfect sectors to become a pirate. To actually do the combat, to actually make that pilot say, you know what, I'm done, I want to live, have the ship, I'm out. And that is because of this highway here. Now,
Nova, Vanguard.
let's try to get back to where we were. Because the highway system has one fatal flaw, and that is for ships exiting the highway system. Let's actually zoom over here, see if we can't see this in real time. This is something that I actually went through. Right there. So right where he just got off is an exit point for this side of the highway. And it should probably correlate on that side of the highway as well, depending on where their destination is. But it's that point that they get off the highway right here. What a perfect time. The ship has to reorient itself, and right there, the ships have to reorient themselves to go into their destination. It's that point in which all you have to do is sit here. It is a waiting game. All you have to do is sit here and wait for those ships to pop off the highway. And at that point, you engage the ship, you start doing the combat, you get the hull to 75%, and then you start that process of, hey, just surrender. Just leave. And that's how you build up a mining fleet. That's how you build a trading fleet. Now, depending on the start, Zyarth should be the faction that you can pretty much do this with. You can also do it with the Terrans. There's going to be specific sectors that you can do that with. Nobody in the Commonwealth, and the Commonwealth would be Argon, Talati, and Paranid. Nobody really likes the Terrans. Even if you destroy a ship in any of the space that I just described, Argon, Paranid, Talati, Split, Zyarth, or Free Families, you might get a monetary reward. You might get a thank you. You actually might gain rep because nobody likes the Terrans. Because the Terrans tend to overstay their welcome. And that has to do with the lore of the Terrans. But those are ships that you could also possibly pirate as well. Terran technology is slightly better. Their travel drive for their engines is... Well, their travel engines is one of the best travel engines in the game. So, more of a reason if you want your ships to travel faster in travel drive. But depending on your start, your rep might look a little different. Terran Protectorate Zyarth and Xenon and Yaki will practically stay the same. Your Holy Order, and you might not have the Duke's Buccaneers yet, that you have to do the parentage story for. But once you get them, it'll be -15. Holy Order might change from 0 +5, depending on what start you do. But it's those ships that you can find in the pink right here.
Alligator gas.
That you could, start those engagements with. Now, Alligator Gas, just a little tidbit, is one of the fastest M ships there is. No reason. No reason.
That machine can actually shoot.
I don't get it. You could do this. You could sit by the highway. You could be a pirate just skulking around. You can actually get into the combat over here between the gate and the highway, where you can take on the Xenon. Highly recommend that you do that when there's an Argon force, or even possibly a Paranid force, which sometimes likes to patrol this gate. In which, if you do feel a little overwhelmed, you can also rely on them. You can always try to boost back towards the station and either dock or help the station turrets take down that target. Now, for something that I mentioned a little earlier in the video, just asking pilots to bail. There is a sector, Second Contact 2, Flashpoint. This is another high conflict sector between the Holy Order, little pink dudes over here, and Antigone and Argon. They start at war in every universe, unless you do a custom start. But any of the starts that you can select from, they will start at war. Their fleets will go back and forth from Second Contact to Flashpoint to True Sight, and they will battle it out in both sectors. Now, this is a good opportunity for you to sit on the sidelines and wait. And just wait for a Perseus, an Eclipse, Quasar, any of those ships that are fighting in that combat. Just wait till it gets to that point of 75% in its hull. And then all you have to do is just ask. Please, pretty please, will you just give me your ship? And sometimes you should be really surprised about how easy that is. It's sometimes mind-blowing that they're like, you know what, I'm done. I'm just tired of this. It's pretty easy. And then you can build up your fleets that way. And I hear gunfire near me now. It's a PE going against a traitor. He's not gonna live. Ooh. You know what? Pause this real quick. Because this guy, this delivery ship Balor, this is a pirate craft. It is from the Free Families. And this brings me straight into my next point, because there is one other sector that you should be able to get these pretty easily. Either the Balor, Dragon Raider, or Asp Raider. And that sector is going to be Morningstar. And that should be roughly around this gate. After this gate is Heretic's End, a sector that we learned in our last episode, where you can start the Boron story and get your HQ. If you ever get stuck in whatever you do, or you just don't have a direction that you want to do or go for, start a story. Play it out. Don't play it out. It's up to you. You can always go back to those missions. But if you ever feel yourself getting stuck, there's your out. Start a story. Because you get money, sometimes you get ships, but it's another way to help break up the monotony that could be X4 Foundations. You can always do timelines as well. A really good DLC, by the way, I think, for the most part. So you should be able to see the Balors, the Asps, the Dragon Raiders, sometimes around stations. But you should see them come out of the gate. Now, Morningstar 3 might not be as lucrative when it comes to traders as Hatikva's Choice is, but these guys are going to be singled out. Typically, they're alone. You can get to them, fight them. They're pretty weak for the most part, so it could be actually an easy fight for you and an easy new ship. At that point, what I'm going to highly recommend that you do is test out that new ship. Maybe you like it better. Maybe it just feels more comfortable. Maybe just having an extra weapon or 2 weapons can benefit you more. And you can start to not just personalize, but specialize your ship into certain roles. Being a pirate, being a boarding ship, being able to take down hard points on larger craft where your boarding parties can then have an easier time to board and take over a ship. World's really up to you, however you want to proceed with it. But they're not always going to be the same color, because pirates in the game are able to mask their true faction or nationality, however you want to call it, by doing this. I know that the Balor is a split ship. It is from the Fallen families. I've played the game enough. I know exactly where that ship's coming from. And you're going to see this a lot with magpies. It is... I want to try to find one. I'm not going to find one. But magpies are a S-class ship. It is a trading ship for the most part. But those are run by scale plate. You can find space weed, space fuel, wheat. You can find small quantities of a plethora of wares that you can take on. Or if you want to capture the ship to sell it, because it's really not useful for the most part in my mind. We can get into some of those uses for those small S-class traders at a later video when we actually go over stations and trading and things like that. They do have a little niche use. But pirates can mask who they are. So you always have to be very careful, and you always have to take a look at who they are before you really engage. You have to be able to put those pieces of the puzzle together. It's not very hard. But these are just ways to get you introduced into combat, to get you introduced into piracy. Because, like it or not, piracy is a big part in early game, in my mind, and in most of my playthroughs. Because that's how you can build a very early economic fleet to start getting that passive income from mining, from trading. Technically, from trading, it takes from your money pool. So hopefully you have a bit of a savings. But you don't have to purchase a ship. Sometimes you can actually get stuff from that captured ship that gives you money. Satellites, laser towers, mines, missiles that you can sell, and you can make a good amount of money. And then all you have to do is just repurpose the ship for whatever you want it to do. Maybe put some turrets or change the weapons out, and there you go. You don't have to put $1 million into a whole brand new ship on your own. You know how words. You now have one that you can create a blank canvas on. But I hope that this brings combat a little more in perspective for you. If you have any questions, if you have any ideas, if there's something that I missed that you are a veteran of the game and you say, well, you didn't mention this, and this is a good idea, put it in a comment. But this is going to be Skillet signing out for now. I do hope you enjoy whenever you do watch, morning, afternoon, evening, good night. This is Skillet signing out.